How was the vibe around Vegas that week when Tupac was in the hospital fighting for his life?
I think it was pretty well known at the time he was in bad shape. Um, I think those of us who saw him, certainly, obviously, the medical people, but like even the cops that saw him that night are like, yeah, I don't think he's going to make it through this. So I think that was kind of the feel with everybody there. I don't think really anybody would have expected anything otherwise. Another thing is that it was not as big a deal as we would think it is now. I mean, because he's more famous now than he was then. And it was still a big deal. It was on the news. People cared. But now it's become legend. It's become more than it ever was then at the time. So it was, for me, that was my Friday, so to speak, at work. So I didn't work the next 3 days. So I didn't really have too much of a feel of what was going on in the street for a couple of days. But and another thing that happened was back then in the '90s, there were a lot of rappers getting shot. It happened all the time. Um, Most of those guys that got killed, well, certainly none of them or almost none of them had the level of fame that Tupac did. So when they died, it was just a dude dying and no one really paid much attention to it. Most of those guys were, backyard street corner rappers, and they're just getting killed all the time. It was drive-by shootings were more prevalent then than they are now. Some things have actually gotten better. So believe it or not, but, um, so it wasn't quite as big a deal as I think most people, especially if they weren't old enough to, be around and watching the news and that sort of thing. They'd be kind of surprised at uh, the attention not being quite what you might think it was.
When he passed away, how was that day like?
Uh, I remember a lot of I remember it was a sad day. There was a lot of stuff on TV. It seemed like no matter what of course, this is kind of before internet was really anything going on yet, but so it was all TV. But a lot of channels, playing 24/7, just Tupac news and Tupac, stories and music and videos, and that seemed to be like all that the only thing you could see on TV there for a few days. And there wasn't a million channels like there are now either. So uh, they pretty much had it covered. Yeah.
Unfortunate, man. I remember I did an interview with Napoleon, right? He's a member of the Outlaws, and he told me that if Tupac would have survived that shooting, he would have never been the same.
Oh, he couldn't do anything. He was just a body containing a heart that's beating because a machine is making it beat. I mean, he couldn't do anything. He wasn't. He was brain dead. He was completely gone.
But hypothetically, what if Tupac would have survived that shooting?
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I don't know how he could have survived it. I mean, he didn't have. He didn't have a. He wasn't shot in the head or anything like that. But if he would have survived that, I mean, it's an awful big if. It's hard to say, but with wounds that serious, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it'd be just pure speculation on my behalf, but I don't think, he had really no chance.